Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of the Jason Howell Company Speaker Series. Today, we've got a great speaker for you, Ms. Ming Richie from The Giving Exchange, and our topic is sustainability, microfinancing sustainability. So what is microfinancing? What does it have to do with sustainability? Well, to answer those questions and more, we've got our great guest, Ms. Richie. But before we pepper her with questions, let's just get to meet her. Ming, how has your day been so far?
Hi, Jason. So lovely to be here with you today. I'm based on the West Coast. Our organization is in California. So I woke up early this morning. I like to go to the gym. I'm a morning gym person now. And then I get back to my office by 7 or 8. And we get into it here because with our team being remote and around the world, I have a lot of staff in Kenya, Uganda, and actually Paris. So early mornings are meeting times, and then afternoon I get to kind of do my own work here in California. So busy morning, happy to be here with you, and just really excited for this conversation today.
Well, thank you for being here, especially on the West Coast. I have to remember that full disclosure, internet, I'm on the East Coast. And so Ming is here at your pleasure, certainly. Thank you. And you mentioned the other countries that you have been a part of. You've recently traveled. I want to hear more about that, and I'm sure everyone else does as well. But you're kind of used to having different time zones, aren't you?
That's right. My husband is Australian. Our work is based in Kenya. My director of operations is in Paris. So we're all over, very international, and very grateful for that opportunity. It kind of is one of those situations where your passions drive your career in a way. So it's all very natural. I'm happy to work across time zones. I'm thrilled by this international family and culture of work we've built. And so, yes, different time zones are not a problem for me. And 3 hours, that's nothing, Jason.
That's nothing. And let the record show, Ming is not wearing a watch. She does not care.
Everything's digital these days.
Somehow.
I am dependent.
Somehow it works. All right, this is the International Microfinancing Sustainability. So let's go to our slides so we can have a little bit of a guide, and that rhymes, and I know it does. And so here we are once again. Ming Richie, thank you, Executive Director of the Giving Exchange, which means she's in charge. Thank you so much for being here to educate all of us on some of the stuff, just some of the stuff that you know. Before we go with all the questions, let's have a word from our sponsor. And our sponsor, of course, is the Jason Howell Company. We're a family wealth management firm. We specialize in sustainable investing and family governance, which is unique to us as a firm because we work with sustainability when it comes to the family's culture, the family's values, the things that you really want to pass on. We talk about family preservation as much as we talk about wealth preservation. For more about the Jason Howell Company, just go to jasonhowell.com. And now we get to talk about Ming, which is exciting. And so, Ming, you've had a journey coming to the Giving Exchange. You've been with the Giving Exchange for quite a while, but you've had a relationship with it for even longer. Tell us about your trip to Kenya and how you went from there to here.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Again, super just organic growth and transformation over the past decade, it feels like. I started as an event producer in corporate events, and that was a fun job for me because I did travel a lot. I did the corporate travel, a lot of Vegas, a lot of Orlando,
Nice.
And I was, right, those convention centers, know them well. But I was missing that social impact and really the feel good part of my job. And when I was placing trash cans in the back of ballrooms for a big sales meeting, I was missing a little bit of motivation of what's my why. And everyone knows you should be driven in your work to really have fulfillment, that you should really care deeply and passionately about who you are really serving and what you spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week doing. So I went on my first trip to Kenya in 2017 with the Giving Exchange. Our founder, Rod Michaels, is a businessman from Walnut Creek, and this was a passion project of his. He founded the Giving Exchange with his daughter, having visited her on a mission trip in Mombasa, Kenya. He was spending time in Nairobi. He was introduced to this wonderful children's home called Morning Star. They still play a foundational part of our history and now our growth on our projects today. They're based in Kiambu County, and Rod went there and visited and saw this young woman running a children's home for 50 children by herself, and just the real need that was there that he could solve pretty quickly and painlessly with some of the American dollars that he had grown and built from his company in California. Sure. So he chose to first start with very simple projects. He did backpacks for the kids, new shoes for the kids, and then he built the septic system for the kids.
Backpacks and then the septic.
That's a pretty big
right,
jump.
just next to the next one. But then the facilities there, I think it was hard for him to see. And still, even if you think about what our mission is today, income generating, self-sustaining programs, we'll get to all of that. The septic system for us is still a heart project, even though it might not be as this is pristine of a project. It really is a one and done. It's an infrastructure project, and it's kind of essential needs in for tier 1 relief, emergency relief, when you need access to food, water, shelter. Make sure you're baseline healthy and safe before we bring in income generating ideas. So all that to say, that's a little bit of the founding story. Rod started bringing ambassadors with him to Kenya to showcase the work, and I went in 2017. So the Giving Exchange was in its 4th year at that time. It was 100% volunteer run at the time. And my trip to Kenya in 2017 totally changed my life. It was beautiful. I was so impacted emotionally. Like we said, I was looking for that emotional draw. What was I passionate about? How was I going to get behind something for the rest of my career? And being there, meeting the kids, playing with them, and at that point implementing a solar project and a computer lab and a biogas project to use their dairy cow waste to fuel their kitchen to feed the 50 kids sustainably was all so fascinating to me. The pace of life was a little bit different. I don't know how to say it's both slower and faster when you're amongst 50 children, but in a place that's a bit more disconnected and a bit more present. So much of it was just totally speaking to me, and I fell in love. I also had always wanted to travel. Thank you for highlighting a very diverse travel portfolio that I was so lucky to get that.
All Zambia, Australia. And you were doing this, I mean, I don't want you to get too far ahead, but you were doing this as sort of a tourist slash volunteer slash sort of board member while you were working for marketing companies. So it was an interesting juxtaposition that you had.
Yes. So 2017 and 18, about a year and a half, I did both board member, volunteer with TGE, and full-time work with Envision. And then I did decide to quit Envision Communications, the corporate event agency, and go travel and volunteer for just over 2 years before I landed in Australia and got full-time work at an NGO in Melbourne, Australia. So during that period of travel, that's when I was able to, I think I visited 30 countries in 3 years, and I did some volunteerism along the way, which has some, there's pros and cons, and I would recommend people be really thoughtful with those choices, but I found some great opportunities that I'm happy to share with another children's home in Shanghai, and actually a health association in Zambia that I was connected to through a friend. So a lot of really fun experiences, short stints. Those were all only 2 weeks to 6 months long, depending on each.
That's long for some people.
For some people.
And just getting that baseline. Yeah. Understanding kind of different sizes, different structures of NGOs and how they operate and what makes the cohesive team. And sometimes there wasn't, and sometimes there was when you're a volunteer. So I think that really guides my leadership style today and the work we're able to do as a fully remote team.
Terrific. Well, thank you for sharing.
Really how you came from, over there to over here. Perhaps you met your husband during that Australian trip.
That's right. Yeah, you nailed it. Yes,
lots of good reasons to travel, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've got a handful of questions here that I hope will be beneficial to a lot of folks. And the first one is really about microfinance as a topic. Certainly our firm focuses on sustainability of the family and of the investing and the community. And I know the Giving Exchange has many diverse foci around that topic of sort of sustainability. But microfinance stuck out to me. Share with us your view of microfinance as you've seen it now all over East Africa.
Totally. Thank you. To me, microfinance is the idea that small amounts of capital can unlock big opportunities. As we talked about, Tier 1 aid is maybe that emergency relief, food, water, shelter. And then Tier 3 aid might be large infrastructure projects, schools, buildings, roads. And what we found is missing is this Tier 2 middle, where we encourage families to go from surviving to thriving. And that's where we unlock opportunity. So instead of giving handouts, we really live by the motto of, if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a day. If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. If you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. So instead of giving handouts, the Giving Exchange will provide either loans or resources or seed capital, but with the goal of it being long lasting and creating opportunity for that individual entrepreneur, their family, and ultimately ripple into the entire community.
Well, and I think that answers the second question we had on this. And
maybe you could add a little more color. How do the results of microfinance as a topic, as a method, differ from the results of just receiving donations?
Right, because I don't want to diminish that donations are not essential or useful. People's immediate needs can still be met from donations, and it's super important. And there are other nonprofits doing that Tier 1 work. But it doesn't always change their long-term situation. Microfinance is different because it sparks ownership. You have some skin in the game. It creates dignity, a work ethic, really a mind shift that we've seen. A small investment can, like from as small as a dairy cow or a beehive or a vocational skills class, can then generate a steady income, cover school fees, cover medical bills, even have some spending money for joy, guilt-free spending.
Why not?
And that will ripple across a family and across an entire community. And it's really shifting, in my mind, from dependency to dignity.
Oh, that's terrific. So how does the Giving Exchange
as an organization exemplify the benefits and really do a great job of essentially doing microfinance?
Yeah, so the Giving Exchange ourselves is we're a small to mid-sized nonprofit here in California. And we try to exemplify the benefits by working right alongside the partners who are implementing on the ground. We lean into local leadership 100%. Every project is sustainably designed, implemented, and led by a local partner, and we're providing the funding from afar. Then we have staff on the ground, our project coordinators and our head trainer, who do support with reporting, metrics, evaluation, kind of oversight, and making sure things stay on track. As you well know, 50% of small businesses fail in the first year. After we've implemented these reporting requirements in the last 5 years, we've seen 80% success rate of our projects. So using that partnership model and really leaning on local leaders, I think is the best way to exemplify benefits of microfinance over time, because that, again, ownership, dignity, skin in the game model makes lasting results.
And what I think I just heard you say, and I
I
don't
don't want to lose it in the sort of the environment of an entire conversation, is you've increased the success rate of these small businesses from what might typically be considered a 50% failure rate to essentially an 80% success rate. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Thank you for highlighting that. It means a lot. Totally. And it wasn't always that way. It's something we've learned over the past decade plus. And like I said, we started with projects that were more heart-based, one and done. And we started with less knowledge and less partnership and less oversight. And we were giving money in places that we didn't fully understand the scope and how to best support. So by adding education, focusing on leadership and communication, those are now our three criteria for a strong project, we have been able to increase the success rate from 50 to 80% of our business funding.
education, leadership,
Leadership,
communication.
communication.
Those
Yeah.
three things. Okay,
Yeah.
we're paying attention. It sounds like those could be useful in
Many different organizations,
Yes.
but we'll allow
Yes.
TGE to exemplify it here with in East Africa. We touched on it a little bit with your bio and your journey, but I understand that this is how many people engage with the Giving Exchange in the first place. Can you talk about how that start happened with those founders, the father and the daughter, and then the invitations of people to come and see what's going on, and really what that journey is for a potential donor, participant, volunteer?
Yes, thank you. We again are so we're at a wonderful size. It's such a fun size of a nonprofit to be. We have 6 staff. We have about 250 donors a year right now. We are hoping to grow that, so please come on board.
There it is.
But it's really intimate and really personal still. And so about over the last decade, I think 80 ambassadors, what we call them, have traveled with us from the US to Kenya to see our work and impact on the ground themselves. That's absolutely a entry point, or not even an entry point. You can, of course, be a donor already. We have people who have wanted to come for years and years, and they have been supporting for years. And then finally, the timing is right. It's a big commitment to get to Africa. But I'll take a step back. Every August, we have our trip to Africa. It used to be called the trip to Kenya, but this past August, I just got back last week we went to both Kenya and Uganda this year. So we are expanding geographically with our projects and then with our oversight as well. So now it's our trip to Africa, and we can fit 10 people max on that trip. So it's pretty intimate. In Kenya, we are hosted still by Morningstar Children's Home, which is just so cool. You will have no other experience like it. And then in Uganda, we do stay at a hotel in Kasese, Uganda, in the western part of the country. And the trip is really meant to achieve 3 goals. One, create that relationship with the partners. We are sending funding to anywhere between 20 and 25 partners a year right now. Actually, might be up to 35 this year. So lots of individual homes or schools or entrepreneurs who are seeking funding. And we're just the suits in California. And so building that relationship is huge. And we feel so much value in that. And actually, our partners love to see us in country, caring about what they do, showing off their projects, sharing their challenges. So really building relationships is a huge part. Second part of the trip is overseeing the projects themselves a little bit. The month before we come, a lot gets done. Typically, the oversight comes and people are coming to check on the projects. The projects are cleaned up a bit. So there's a lot of project oversight. We can ask reporting questions, metrics questions, things that we are a little confused about. It's a good time to do that. But we really just want to see with our own eyes that the project is running, the money is going where we said it's going, everything is according to plan because we're really diligent stewards of our donors' dollars. And then 3, of course, is sharing our work and our impact with these donors, the 10 ambassadors who come and the dozens, hundreds of supporters back in the States who can't make that trip with us every year. We want to showcase all that's done. It's hard working in international development because you don't feel it as hands-on as maybe your local food bank or able to stuff backpacks for your school down the street. So being able to tell the beneficiary impact stories, meet them in person, see the faces, hear the voices, and share that with our supporters at home is a third critical pillar of a trip.
Awesome.
So,
no, you're a leader. You always speak in
Threes, so that's
yeah.
excellent.
That's the only way it stays in my own brain.
Oh, that's excellent. You know, a lot of the clients that we work with, they have a little extra, and the things they think about now are how to go beyond just, you know, their family's success and how can they be sustainable when it comes to the community. So that directs some of the way they invest. It also directs what they think about, you know, the word philanthropy and what that means to them. They have conversations amongst themselves with us around philanthropy, and they really want to be intentional. And the word we use a lot on our website is proactive.
Yes.
And so I'm hearing about the Giving Exchange, and can you use that leader mind of yours and bullet, you know, essentially how a person who has a international community development interest can be both proactive as a quote unquote philanthropist and also contribute to sustainability well beyond their lifetimes.
Absolutely. And thank you for doing that work. I could take a step back and say it's amazing what your community of clients have achieved for themselves. I have so much respect for the Jason Howell Company and how your approach to income generation, family first ethics and values. And so having your clients know and trust you with those values and those ethics is huge. And then we just want to showcase what we're offering as one of the many avenues. Working in nonprofit impact is so awesome because it's so collaborative. There's very little competition. So if you care about puppies, please go give to puppies. I'm sure Jason Howell will connect you with the right avenue to give there. If you care about income generation, family wealth generation, that is why there's so much synchronicity here, is we're doing that for communities all around the world. You clients of Jason Howell have done this yourselves. So you have seen the impact it can have on your family, yourself, then your family, then your community. And that's really what we are as inspiring and aspiring to do in the communities we serve. So when a client chooses to give to the Giving Exchange, we're able to direct that to any project that you particularly care about. We typically break it down, more threes for you, Jason. We benefit women, children, and communities. And I'm often seeing the most popular projects that are being applied to for us for funding are vocational skills, animal rearing, or farming projects. So if you have particular interests, beneficiary demographics, or types of projects, we can certainly apply those accordingly and give you specific updates. Again, small team. If you reach out, subscribe to our newsletter, or just email me, my email was on that slide, you will hear directly from myself or Camilla. We're the 2 U.S. staff people, and then we'll introduce you directly to some of these amazing beneficiaries I met in the last month. Monica, who does sewing and tailoring as a young mother in Uganda, or Cecilia, a baker in Kenya. Just some really beautiful impact stories that are direct to the beneficiary, all the work that they're doing based on a few donations. Like those projects, average project size is $5,000 US, and you're changing the life of a dozen girls who are going through this vocational training. It's so immediately impactful with the US dollar going to this country, and then with our size organization, you can meet those people and see their faces. And to me, there's nothing better.
Nothing better. Ming at the Giving
Exchange, for those of you who are
.net, which is tricky. We don't own .com. If anyone wants to help us buy thegivingexchange.com, we are trying.
Oh my gosh.
Add
Oh wow.
to thegivingexchange.net.
That can be very expensive. Okay, that's a whole separate project.
That's right.
Well, we've heard some really great things about the Giving Exchange, and as we sort of look to the future of not only your organization, I'd be interested to hear from you, a leader of a nonprofit that you said is in that perfect size. How do you see the future essentially going for nonprofits as we're in a time, certainly here in the United States, where there's less federal government support and yet there's more opportunity to satisfy need? What do you see as the future of nonprofits, and how is the Giving Exchange, which I know started out as all volunteer and every cent goes to every organization, but there was a need for someone like you to lead. How do you see the model going forward with nonprofits in a truly sustainable way?
Huge question. And the model of the Giving Exchange works because it's not actually about us. It's about the communities that we serve, and they're leading themselves to sustainability. When I was in Kenya this year, my colleague Panina and I were so lucky to sit on a panel as guest speakers at the Nairobi Roundtable for Sustainable Partnership. And we heard from many others in the space, mostly NGOs headquartered in Nairobi, about the effects that the pullout of aid, first from USAID, but then from many European governments, how that's impacting them. And I was so inspired and proud to hear from these local leaders that they're up to the challenge. To get to your question of immediately, there's still a big void. And especially that tier 1 aid, medical support being pulled, people are seriously being impacted in these communities without access to the medications that they've relied on for years. So I don't have the emergency relief answer. It's going to hurt for a while, and I'm embarrassed to be part of that immediate and just devastating impact on these communities. But my hopeful side comes in when you think about all the brilliance and wealth of resources and knowledge and people willing and able to work that are there already. And so hearing from Kenyans in this specific roundtable, how much there is a mind shift around from dependency to ownership. To me, I'm like, well, that's what the Giving Exchange has been preaching for 10 years. And that's where we fit. Yeah. So luckily, we are set for success. And luckily, this year, the Giving Exchange did not lose federal funding ourselves. We're not big enough to have ever qualified for the $1 million plus USAID grants ourselves. So we have been unaffected financially yet in that way. And so we've been able to invest more heavily this year and use the relationships and the history that we have in these regions to say loud and proud to those communities, we're still here. We're not leaving you. We want to continue to grow, and we want you to lead yourselves to self-sustainability.
Wow.
And I will add quickly what you mentioned of the 100% pledge, which is still true to this day. Although we have 6 staff members, the Giving Exchange does still pledge that 100% of every dollar donated goes directly to our projects. And we do have angel donors, our board members and our founder, who fund my salary and the 6 salaries of our staff. And so 100% of donations, a lot of people really care about that because there is a lot of confusion and lack of transparency in the nonprofit sector. So I think I answered your question through a lens of programs, but there's also a whole nother side of operations and fundraising and how to be really ethical and effective with donor dollars. So I just want to promise to your clients that 100% of donations go directly to the program.
And you're espousing from
dependency to ownership, which I found was an incredible phrase, as well as we're not leaving you. What a thing to say. Thank you for that. Well, Ming, is there one thing, I know people will have the opportunity to watch this back, but is there one thing that you would like folks, perhaps future donors, future volunteers, to take away that they can use to begin the journey that you began?
Yeah, I think, of course, follow your passions. I'll have to make the little plug for the Giving Exchange, the few simple ways to get involved. One, our big push this year is simply please subscribe to our newsletter. That is our number one ask. We're trying to grow that base, 250 individual donors last year. We want to grow the size of our community, our international family. So please subscribe to our newsletter. And for much of your clientele based on the East Coast, we are hosting a virtual event on October 28th this year. And that will be with two of our guests of honor from Kenya and Uganda, who will be traveling to California that week. We have an in-person event for our California audience, and we'll be doing a virtual event for our supporters around the world. So if you'd like to learn more, I hope that you will attend our October 28th virtual event. But back to your question of how to get involved and how to choose, again, follow your passions and just give. I think philanthropy is on a decline in general in the US, and that's heartbreaking. I think it is so systemic and there's so many factors, loneliness epidemic, a technology void, all these things. And then a poor economy that's really a challenge for people to just get by day to day. I make it a habit in my life. Of course, I work in the nonprofit sector, but I have other causes that I support. And even when things are tight, if you can do $25 a month to our program, The Roots, our recurring monthly donor program, that helps us 100%. $25 from 30 people will really add up and be the cost of a project for 1 year. But then it helps you as an individual exercise that muscle of giving back and the feeling of being something more. That's why I left corporate America. That's why I'm here now. Not everyone can make that choice financially or career-wise, but do get involved. And if it's not with money, then with time. And I just encourage everyone to do something because it feels good. And it's so beneficial to so many people other than you. And I think we need more of that in our world. And I just really appreciate anyone who took the time to watch this video, be a part of the conversation. Please reach out. But if it's not the Giving Exchange, find someone in your community or in your sphere of interest and just continue to give, because I think it's the best feeling in the world and we could all use a little more of it.
Follow your passion and just give.
Yeah.
Ming Richie, Executive
Director of thegivingexchange.net. Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your experience and education. We have been better for it. With that, I yield the balance of your time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jason.